Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ruth, and this is my husband, Andy. And we are the proud parents of a 2.5-year-old sunshine, or ray of sunshine. Her name is Sol. She is an amazing, determined girl who is the song of our lives and who has been fighting cancer for more than half of her life. Tonight, we want to share with you what life is like for a family whose only child has cancer, and how the Children's Cancer Association has supported us through this difficult journey. Talking about this is not easy, and we may tear up in the process. But we want to share with you this part of us, as we know, like you are here tonight because you care. Like us, you know that every moment in the life of a child with cancer or any other life-threatening condition is a precious moment. This is our family story, a story of tears, sadness, anxiety, fear, and yet a story of multiple blessings, miracles, love, and many, many moments of joy.
Ruth and I met in Costa Rica many years ago. God, almost feels like an eternity. And we decided to get married, but we decided to focus on our careers, so we chose not to have kids. Roughly 13 years into our marriage, Sol decided to change plans and came into our lives. And for the bulk of the pregnancy, everything seemed normal. Mostly meant that I slept well, and Ruth had morning sickness and horrible nights. But at the end, roughly, of the third trimester, we learned that not everything was right with Sol. She had a condition that is called hydronephrosis, which is the collection of fluids in her kidney. And so when she was born, we did a series of exams, and it turned out that it wasn't really anything major, but it required us to monitor her through ultrasounds for a frequency of about every 3 months. The day after Sol turned 1, we actually got the call, and the doctor said that they found a mass in her adrenal gland, which is right above the kidney, and that it was possibly a neuroblastoma, which is a type of childhood cancer. It's actually the most common solid tumor type of cancer. And a couple of months later, we found ourselves in the operating room, and the tumor was removed. At that time, that tumor was the size of a golf ball, almost to the exact dimensions. But multiple exams said that that tumor was low risk, that 99% of children with this particular diagnosis were perfectly fine just with the surgery. So we just needed to continue monitoring her. So our life went back to some sort of normal. We continued working, and we decided to go on a family trip to see our families in Costa Rica. And while we were there, we discovered a mass, and that was virtually the personification of the worst fears that anyone could ever imagine. This time, the tumor was actually the size of a baseball, and we essentially took the next flight back to the US the next day, which turned out to be the day of our 15th wedding anniversary. So we went straight from pediatrics to Dornbecker, where a team of doctors was expecting us, and testing confirmed that the cancer had returned, and this time it was wrapping several organs, and that it was high risk.
Learning that our child had cancer and that future ahead of us was unpredictable shattered us on unimaginable ways. At that moment, we started living the most painful emotions a human being can experience. I can only remember a few faces, after she was diagnosed with the relapse. And honestly, I have very, very few memories of that time frame. Before we knew, Sol was in the operating room, and 1 week later, she received her first dose of chemotherapy. We had no time to dwell, and we had to make very difficult and painful decisions very quickly. We received an abundant amount of information that time that it was difficult to process. In one of the initial meetings with the medical team, we were approached by the Dornbecker social worker who brought us significant amount of resources and at the same time different forms for us to fill. At that time, we just took one form, and that form was about the CCA ChemoPal program. It was, with the CCA ChemoPal program, sounded just like exactly what we needed, as we don't have any family in the US. We knew we needed human support, especially people that could make Sol laugh, that will give her attention that was not medical related, and that could be an unconditional friend. I don't know how CCA did it, but they found the perfect match for Sol. Someone who is kind, energetic, flexible, and who understands that playing with a sick child and a sick toddler is not always fun. She and Sol, Emily, her name is Emily, and she and Sol spent many, many hours together blowing bubbles, painting, doing puzzles, and Emily just keeps Sol entertained and gives her lots of joyful moments. And to Andy and I, it gave us a sense of release and also lots of support. Soon after we were at the hospital, we learned about the My Music RX program and the magic of the music specialist. The magic about the program is that they are in tune where Sol is at. So that means that sometimes they change the rhythm of the songs based on how she's feeling. Sometimes it means that they will follow us with guitars around the hospital hallways while we just take a very sick soul in a wagon just to calm her, and they may just follow us and sing with us. Other times, they will come to the room, and we just have to close the door, so we will rock out, dance, and sing out to the top of our lungs to Katy Perry songs. Yeah, a 2-year-old doing that. Those moments of joy are priceless, and we will be in our hearts and minds forever. I will never forget a time when we left the PICU. Sol was very, very sick, and we could not console her. My music RX specialist came to the room and sang her favorite lullaby, her favorite song in a lullaby rhythm, and Sol calmed down and fell asleep. You have no idea what that meant to us. At that moment, our tears of pain and sadness became tears of gratitude. But for Sol, the most exciting thing happened just recently when CCA delivered a huge play structure to our backyard. For a long time, Sol was asking for a play structure that we will see in a specific store. And we just tried to trick her and went and get her a little tiny plastic one. But she had something else in mind. She said, "Thank you, now give me the big one." Smart girl. The CCA Link program learned about it, and they made Sol's wish come true. Since that day, we spend most of the time at home on that play structure. And for a child who has spent more than half of her life in treatment, this grief has no price. And the smile on her face are worth more than any can imagine. Hearing Sol laughing while she swings is contagious and make up for many of those difficult moments when we were heartbroken.
Now, since August of 2016, Sol has endured 6 rounds of chemotherapy, 1 bone marrow rescue, which is code for chemotherapy so strong that basically her own bone marrow cells have to be reinfused so that she can get back to some level of blood production. five surgeries, including one that removed the tumor, but along with it came a kidney and many other parts of her body. 6 rounds of immunotherapy, hundreds of pokes, dozens upon dozens of medicines, visits to the clinic, visits to the emergency room, nights at the emergency room, and a life that was split almost to the exact calculation between time at home and actually time at the hospital. But I'm actually pleased to share that almost 1.5 years since the relapse happened, Sol actually ended treatment this past Sunday. And while the road to being a cancer survivor is still a long ways, we're surely hoping that Sol is now cancer-free and actually stays that way so that she can enjoy a long, happy, and healthy life. We have found in CCA a family and a support system that we would have never have imagined. Even before any of this, we would never have imagined that it existed. The only way we have been able to actually survive this journey without having any direct family here in the US to help us through has been through the unimaginable support from our colleagues at Pacific University, from our neighbors, from our friends, and equally important to Sol and for us, from organizations like CCA. Sadly, our story is not unique, and it is thanks to the contributions from people like you that CCA is able to break the pain and the isolation that cancer treatment brings to kids, just like Sol, into families just like ours. We have seen firsthand the way that CCA is able to transform so many precious moments with joy. So we ask you to please be generous tonight in your support of this wonderful and important organization. Thank you.